Potter profile on Professor Binns. Cuthbert Binns became the Professor of History of Magic at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and became Professor Binns. He taught on the first floor near the mossy courtyard, but his office was on the 5th floor corridor. His lessons had the reputation of being extremely boring as he read from his never-ending collection of notes. He was so engulfed with what he was saying, he never noticed his students slowly falling asleep. Professor Binns opened his notes and began to read in a flat drone, like an old vacuum cleaner, until nearly everyone in the class was in a deep sleep, occasionally coming round long enough to copy down a name or a date, then falling asleep again. Professor Binns carried on teaching into his early years. He got so old that he apparently looked like a wrinkled tortoise. Professor Binns went down to the staff room and fell asleep in front of the fire, and he died in his sleep. But he didn't notice and went to his next class as a ghost. Professor Binns was very old indeed when he had fallen asleep in front of the staff room fire, and got up the next morning to teach, leaving his body behind him. His lessons were still as boring as ever, even when he walked through the blackboard. In the 1970s, Professor Binns taught James Potter, Lily Evans, Peter Pettigrew, Remus Lupin and Sirius Black. For unknown reasons, Binns gave one of his chocolate frog cars to James Potter, which later fell into the hands of Professor Quirrell, who put it in his vault, number 998. In 1991, Professor Binns taught Harry Potter. However, Binns did not take notice in his legendary pupil, as he never paid attention to his class, as he was more interested in reading his notes and expecting them to copy down bullet points. He taught Harry's class about historical figures such as Uric the Oddball and Emek the Evil, who everyone got confused with. In Harry's second year, the Chamber of Secrets had been opened, which scared and confused many students, as most of them had not heard the legend of the Chamber of Secrets. Hermione decided to ask Professor Binns, since he was the History of Magic teacher, he was sure to know about the legend. I was wondering if you could tell us anything about the Chamber of Secrets. The story goes that Slytherin had built a hidden chamber in the castle, of which the other founders knew nothing. Slytherin, according to the legend, sealed the Chamber of Secrets so that none would be able to open it until his true heir arrived at the school. The heir would be able to unseal the Chamber of Secrets, unleash the horror within, and use it to purge the school of all who were unworthy to study magic. Professor Binns continued to teach Harry Potter and his classmates. As preparation for the school year, Professor Binns sent his third-year students an essay titled "Witch Burning in the 14th Century Was Completely Pointless. Discuss." One night in the winter term, Professor Binns allowed Professor Lupin, the new Defence Against the Dark Arts teacher, to use his classroom to teach Harry how to cast the Patronus charm. The following academic year, Professor Binns gave his fourth years essays every week in preparation for the OWL's examinations next year. Because Harry was the fourth champion in the Triwizard Tournament, he was exempt from the end-of-term exam. Harry used Binns' lessons to spend time looking up hexes for the Triwizard tasks. Professor Binns lectured his fifth students on wars caused and participated in by giants, which would have been interesting had it been taught by a more engaging teacher. It is unknown if Umbridge inspected Binns' classes that year, as she was not present during Harry's lectures. In 1997, Voldemort had seized control over Hogwarts. It is unknown how this affected Professor Binns as he is a ghost, but we presume he took part in the Battle of Hogwarts along with everybody else. Binns continued teaching as Professor of History of Magic after the war.